I'll never forget the sound of that saw starting up. High-pitched whining, angry like it had a grudge. And in a way it did, or at least the woman holding it did. Her name was Cheryl Langston, president of the Evergreen Bluff HOA, self-appointed queen of lawn standards and fence paint colors, and she was about to commit a felony with a reciprocating saw. Let me back up. My name's James Tully. Most days I'm just a guy with a toolbox, a steady hand, and a nephew who thinks I can fix anything. I moved in with my sister and her son a couple years ago after I got out of the army, needed a quiet place to land, and she needed a hand raising her boy, since her ex works 2 states over most of the year. We built a treehouse together, me and Evan, 8 years old, full of fire and ideas. Called it Fort Thunderstrike, his name not mine. It sat nestled between 2 oak trees in the side yard, solid 4x4 posts, deck screws, not nails, every joint tight. It wasn't an eyesore, it was a memory under construction. Except Cheryl didn't see it that way. She hated it, said it violated 17 HOA codes, left little printed notes tucked under our door like a feral librarian. Remove unapproved structure immediately. You've been warned. I used them to start the grill. Then came that Saturday. Evan and I were putting the last touches on the roof when Cheryl stomped over in her tan pantsuit heels on our grass, pointing like a prosecutor. You've got 24 hours, Mr. Tully, or the board takes action. I remember looking at her at that pressed blouse and brittle voice and thinking there are real problems in this world, and you're worked up over plywood and pine. But I stayed calm. It's just a fort for my nephew. You don't have to like it, but you sure as hell don't get to destroy it. She didn't respond, just turned on her heel and walked back across the lawn like she was headed to a board meeting in hell. An hour later, I was cutting a crossbeam when I heard the saw. I dropped the tape, turned, and there she was. Cheryl Langston standing 6 feet from the fort, firing up a saw like she was in some kind of home improvement horror film. Cheryl, I yelled, "Stop, Evan's inside." She didn't even flinch. The sound of wood cracking, not the clean kind, but splintering wrong, followed by Evan's scream. Not a play scream, the real kind that slices through your chest like a blade. The treehouse collapsed, just buckled. I ran, yanked boards with bare hands until I found him pinned, crying, his little leg twisted under a beam. I shouted for help. Neighbors came running. One called 911. Another just stood there horrified. And Cheryl stood there with the saw still running, like she hadn't just nearly killed a child. Deputy Reynolds rolled up 5 minutes later. Calm, collected. Didn't need to ask many questions, a neighbor misses. Lawson was already pointing, shaking, saying, "She did it. She cut it down while the boy was still inside." He walked over, said, "Ma'am, I need you to put the saw down." She said it was association property, that the rules allow action. But when he cuffed her for felony assault and child endangerment, her face finally cracked, like she'd just realized the world doesn't revolve around bylaws. That should have been the end of it. But I knew better. See, I'd dealt with people like Cheryl before, the kind who hide behind policy while pulling strings behind closed doors. So I dug, pulled HOA records, found out the house directly behind ours had just sold at a record price to a real estate investment group. Cheryl, she was getting a $10,000 bonus if the deal closed. One problem: our fort blocked the lake view. You connect the dots. An anonymous tip led me to Gary, the HOA vice president. Nervous guy. Probably never stood up to anyone in his life. But guilt'll do funny things to a man. He handed me the smoking gun, an envelope full of texts. Cheryl promising to clear the sightlines, telling the agent to have the buyers ready with the checkbook. Not a single word about Evan. Just money and timing. We had video from Paul's doorbell, cam Cheryl looking right at Evan's head in the window before she started cutting. We had body cam footage, witness statements, and now motive. Pure, simple greed. Then came the community meeting. Packed gym, neighbors murmuring, HOA board sweating bullets. Cheryl wasn't supposed to be there. Court order barred her from events I attended. But in she walked like a storm in heels. She grabbed the mic. "I am the victim here," she screamed. "I gave years to this community," and then her son, big angry Kyle, saw the deputy putting a hand on her shoulder and lost it. Pulled a snub-nosed revolver out of his waistband, shouted, "Get your hands off my mom!" Everything froze, but Deputy Reynolds, cool as ever, talked him down. No shots, no blood, just cuffs. Cheryl went back to jail. This time, no bail. Her power gone, her name poison. But I wasn't done. We filed a civil suit. The court showed the videos. Heard Evan's little voice in a pre-recorded deposition explaining how the lady with the loud thing cut the fort leg and it fell on me. The jury didn't take long. They awarded us $150,000 for medical costs, $500,000 for pain and suffering, and another $1 million just to send a message. And the fort. We rebuilt it. Not just me, the whole neighborhood showed up. Poured concrete footers, brought bolts. The deputies even pitched in. Evan, cast still on, wore a hard hat and judged our work. That board's real straight, Uncle James. It was more than a treehouse now. It was a monument. A few months later, I saw her again, Cheryl in a hardware aisle holding a can of paint thinner, looking older, quieter. No words passed between us, just a nod. The storm had passed, but the lesson stuck. People like Cheryl think they can bulldoze others, hide behind titles and fine print. But when you stand your ground, when you build your case brick by brick, the truth holds. Now let me ask you something. Was justice served here, or should we expect better from people in power? Tell me down below, what would you have done if that had been your nephew under that fort?